The first punch landed hard against his ribs, knocking the air from his lungs. Jonathan Crawford stumbled backward, his expensive shoes sliding on the wet pavement of the alley. 3 shadows circled him like predators, their faces hidden in the dim light between the buildings. His phone lay shattered on the ground where it had fallen during the first surprise blow. No one knew he was here. No one was coming. Hand over the wallet and the watch, the tallest one growled, stepping closer. His fist was already raised for another strike. Jonathan's hand moved to his pocket, but before he could reach for anything, a second attacker grabbed his arm and twisted it behind his back. Pain shot through his shoulder. The third man moved in front of him, searching his jacket roughly, tearing at the fabric. This was really happening. In the heart of the city, just 2 blocks from his luxury hotel, he was being robbed and beaten in a dirty alley. His knees started to buckle from the pain in his twisted arm. The man holding him laughed and pushed him forward, causing him to slam face-first against the brick wall. Blood trickled from his split lip. The metallic taste filled his mouth. These men were not stopping at robbery. They wanted to hurt him. "Check his pockets again," one of them ordered. Rough hands patted him down, finding his wallet. They ripped his watch from his wrist so hard the band cut into his skin. Then, just as the tallest man raised his fist for another blow to Jonathan's head, something flew through the air with a sharp whistle. It struck the attacker square in the temple with a loud crack. The man dropped like a stone, unconscious before he hit the ground. "What the?" The second attacker turned toward the source of the projectile, but another object came flying, hitting him directly in the chest with enough force to knock him backward into a pile of trash bags. The third man released Jonathan and tried to run, but a third projectile caught him in the back of the knee. He went down hard, crying out in pain. Jonathan slumped against the wall, gasping, trying to understand what just happened. Through his blurred vision, he saw a figure standing at the mouth of the alley. A young woman, her dark skin glowing under the streetlight, held what looked like a canvas bag in one hand. Even from this distance, he could see her athletic build and the determined set of her shoulders. "You boys picked the wrong alley tonight," she called out, her voice steady and strong. She reached into her bag and pulled out another round object. A ball. She was throwing balls at them. "I suggest you run before I aim for something that will hurt a lot more." The man who had been hit in the chest scrambled to his feet and grabbed his unconscious friend, dragging him. The third attacker limped away as fast as he could manage. Within seconds, the alley was empty except for Jonathan and his mysterious rescuer. She walked toward him cautiously, her bag still held ready in case of another threat. As she got closer, he could see her face more clearly. She was beautiful, with high cheekbones, full lips, and eyes that showed both concern and strength. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and she wore simple athletic clothes that suggested she had been working out or practicing something. "Are you okay?" she asked, kneeling beside him. Her hands were gentle as she examined his face, tilting his chin to check the cut on his lip. "Have you ever wondered what you would do if you saw someone being hurt right in front of you? Would you have the courage to step in like this young woman did, risking your own safety to save a stranger? Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts. And if this story has already grabbed your attention, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss what happens next." Jonathan tried to speak, but his jaw ached too much. He managed a small nod instead. The woman pulled out her phone and started to dial. "Wait," he croaked, finding his voice. "I am fine. Just, give me a minute." She looked at him skeptically. "You are bleeding, and those guys worked you over pretty good. You need medical attention." "I have had worse," he lied, though he could not actually remember a time when he had been hurt this badly. Growing up wealthy and protected, physical violence had been something he only saw in movies. The woman sat back on her heels, studying him. "What are you doing in this neighborhood anyway? You do not look like you belong here." Her eyes took in his torn designer suit, the expensive Italian leather shoes, even the quality of the fabric in his clothes. "I was taking a shortcut to my hotel," Jonathan admitted. "Stupid decision, clearly." "Very stupid," she agreed, but there was no mockery in her tone, just matter-of-fact observation. "This area is not safe after dark. Everyone who lives here knows that." Jonathan finally pushed himself away from the wall, trying to stand. His legs wobbled, but the woman quickly moved to support him, slipping an arm around his waist. She was stronger than she looked, easily taking part of his weight. "Thank you," he said, meeting her eyes. "You saved my life. Those men were not going to stop at robbery." She shrugged, but he saw a flash of something in her eyes. Fear, maybe. Or the aftermath of adrenaline. "I just did what anyone should do. I could not walk past and pretend I did not see." "Most people would have," Jonathan said quietly. "Most people would have called the police and kept walking." They made their way slowly out of the alley and onto the better-lit street. A few people passed by, glancing at them curiously but not stopping. The woman guided him to a bus stop bench and helped him sit down. "What were you throwing at them?" Jonathan asked, noticing the bag she still carried. She opened it to show him. Inside were a dozen softballs. "I am a softball coach at the community center 3 blocks from here. Just finished evening practice with the kids. These were the spare balls I was taking home to clean." "A softball coach," Jonathan repeated, a smile tugging at his injured lip despite the pain. "That explains the accuracy. You hit all 3 of them perfectly." "Been throwing since I was 6 years old," she said with a hint of pride. "My daddy taught me. He said a good arm could get me out of this neighborhood." He was right. Got a full scholarship to college on my pitching. "Did you play professionally?" She shook her head. "Got injured in my senior year. Tore my rotator cuff. By the time it healed, I had aged out of the opportunities. So I came back home to teach kids the same skills my daddy gave me." There was no bitterness in her voice, just acceptance. Jonathan found that remarkable. So many people he knew would have dwelt on the loss of such a dream, would have let it sour them. This woman had simply moved forward and found a new purpose. "I am Jonathan, by the way. Jonathan Crawford." He extended his hand. She took it, her grip firm and warm. "Tiana Brooks." "Well, Tiana Brooks, I owe you my life. Those men would have killed me if you had not come along." Tiana looked uncomfortable with the praise. "You do not owe me anything. I just did the right thing." "I disagree completely," Jonathan said. "And I always pay my debts. Please, at least let me take you to dinner. Tomorrow night. Anywhere you want to go." Tiana hesitated, and Jonathan could see her weighing the offer. He knew what she was thinking. He had been around long enough to recognize when someone was trying to figure out his angle, what he wanted in return. "Just dinner," he promised. "No strings attached. I just want to properly thank the woman who saved my life." After a long moment, Tiana nodded. "Okay. Just dinner." Jonathan felt an unexpected rush of pleasure at her acceptance. "Where should I pick you up?" She told him her address. Her apartment building he knew was in one of the less affluent parts of the neighborhood. Then she helped him to his feet again. "Can you make it back to your hotel?" she asked. "Or should I call you a cab?" "I can manage," Jonathan said, though he was not entirely sure that was true. Every part of his body ached. "Thank you again, Tiana. For everything." She gave him a small smile that transformed her face from merely beautiful to absolutely stunning. "Be more careful where you walk at night, Jonathan Crawford." He watched her walk away down the street, her ponytail swinging with each confident step. Even after she disappeared around a corner, he stood there for a moment, replaying the entire encounter in his mind. This woman had saved him without hesitation, without asking who he was or what she might get in return. In his world, that kind of selflessness was rare. The next morning, Jonathan stared at his reflection in the hotel bathroom mirror. A purple bruise colored his jaw, and his bottom lip was swollen. His ribs ached with every breath. He had not told anyone about the attack, not even his assistant who had been calling all morning about meetings he was missing. He should go to the hospital, get checked out properly. But something kept him from making that call. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was the fact that admitting he had been beaten in an alley felt like admitting weakness. Or maybe it was because he kept thinking about Tiana Brooks and her calm, capable presence in the midst of chaos. His phone buzzed again. Another meeting request. Another investor wanting his attention. The life of a billionaire tech mogul never slowed down, even when you were injured. Jonathan made a decision. He called his assistant and cleared his entire schedule for the day. Then he got dressed carefully, every movement causing pain, and took a cab to the address Tiana had given him the night before. The apartment building was old but well maintained. Flower boxes hung in several windows, and the front steps were swept clean. A group of kids played basketball in the small courtyard, their shouts and laughter filling the air. He was about to press the buzzer for Tiana's apartment when he saw her coming down the street. She wore jeans and a simple t-shirt with the community center's logo on it. A large bag hung from her shoulder, probably filled with more softballs. She stopped short when she saw him, surprise crossing her face. "Jonathan, what are you doing here?" "I needed to see you," he said. "About last night." Tiana's expression shifted to concern. "Are you okay? You look worse than you did yesterday." "I am fine," he lied again. The truth was, he felt terrible. His whole body was one big ache. "But I realized I should probably get checked out at a hospital. And I was hoping you would come with me." "Why would you need me to come?" "Because you are the only one who saw what happened. The doctors will want to know details about the attack." That was partially true. But mostly, he just wanted more time with her. There was something about Tiana that drew him in, made him want to know everything about her. Tiana hesitated, then nodded. "Okay. Let me just drop this bag upstairs and tell the center I will be late." 20 minutes later, they sat in the emergency room waiting area. The hospital was busy, and even though Jonathan could have used his name to get faster service, he did not. Instead, he sat beside Tiana and learned about her life. She was 24, had grown up in this neighborhood with her mother and younger sister. Her father had died when she was 15, a heart attack that came without warning. Her mother worked 2 jobs to keep them afloat. Tiana had been determined to help, so she had poured everything into softball, knowing it was her ticket to a better future. "When I got that scholarship, I thought all our problems were solved," she said, her voice soft. "I was going to play professionally, make enough money to take care of my family. My mom could quit one of her jobs. My sister Nicole could go to any college she wanted. Then you got injured." "Then I got injured," she confirmed. Suddenly, that entire future disappeared. "I came home and tried to figure out what to do next. That is when Mrs. Patterson at the community center offered me a job coaching the kids. It does not pay much, but it is honest work. And I love those kids. They remind me of myself at that age, hungry for something better." "Tell me about the community center," Jonathan said. Something in her voice when she talked about it made him curious. Tiana's expression grew troubled. "It is struggling. The building is falling apart, we barely have enough equipment for the programs, and we might have to close if we do not get more funding. Mrs. Patterson has been applying for grants, but nothing has come through. We have maybe 3 months before we have to shut down. How much would it take to keep the doors open?" She looked at him sharply. "Why do you want to know?" "Because I want to help. Jonathan, you do not even know us. You do not know the center or what we do there. I know that you saved my life. I know that you dedicate yourself to helping kids who need it. That is enough for me." Before Tiana could respond, a nurse called Jonathan's name. The examination revealed cracked ribs, a mild concussion, and extensive bruising, but nothing that would not heal with time and rest. The doctor wanted to admit him overnight for observation, but Jonathan refused. He had more important things to do. When they left the hospital, Jonathan turned to Tiana. "Take me to the community center. I want to see it." "Jonathan, you should rest." "I will rest after I see where you work. Please, Tiana. Let me do this." She studied his face for a long moment, then sighed. "Okay. But if you pass out, I am leaving you there and telling everyone you are a strange man who wandered in off the street." Despite his injuries, Jonathan laughed. Fair enough. The community center was worse than he had imagined. The roof leaked in several places, buckets positioned to catch the drips. The basketball court had cracks running through the concrete. The equipment room held battered balls, broken bats, and torn nets. But despite the poor conditions, the place was filled with life. Kids of all ages ran around, their energy infectious. They greeted Tiana with hugs and excitement, and she knew every single one of them by name. Mrs. Patterson, the director, was a sturdy black woman in her late 50s with kind eyes and a firm handshake. She welcomed Jonathan warmly, even though Tiana had only introduced him as a friend. "We do our best with what we have," Mrs. Patterson said, showing him around. "These kids need a safe place to go after school. Many of them come from homes where parents are working multiple jobs. We provide structure, supervision, and hopefully a sense of community." Jonathan saw it all. The peeling paint, the broken windows covered with cardboard, the ancient computers in the learning center that barely functioned. But he also saw the dedication of the staff, the love these kids had for this place, and the difference it made in their lives. By the time the tour ended, Jonathan had made up his mind. He pulled Tiana aside into a quiet corner. "I want to help save this place," he said. "Tell me what you need, and I will make it happen." Tiana shook her head. "Jonathan, we cannot accept charity from. It is not charity. It is repayment. You saved my life, Tiana. Let me do this for you and these kids. Please." He could see the war going on inside her. Pride versus practicality. Independence versus the needs of the children she served. Finally, practicality won. "We need about $200,000 to make the necessary repairs and buy new equipment. That would give us at least another 5 years of operation while we build up other funding sources." Jonathan did not even blink. "Consider it done. I will have my assistant transfer the money tomorrow. And Tiana, I do not want to hear any arguments. Those kids need this center, and you need to be able to keep helping them." Tears welled in Tiana's eyes. "I do not know what to say. Say you will have dinner with me tonight. We never did get to have that thank you meal." Through her tears, Tiana smiled. "Yes. Dinner tonight." 1 week later, construction crews filled the community center. The sounds of hammering and drilling mixed with the excited chatter of kids who watched the transformation begin. Jonathan had not just transferred money. He had shown up personally to oversee the project, bringing his best contractors and architects to create a plan that would not just repair the building but upgrade it completely. Tiana still could not quite believe it was happening. Every morning she woke up expecting to find out it had all been a dream. But every morning, Jonathan was there at the center, walking through with the contractors, making decisions about paint colors and equipment purchases. "We should expand the computer lab," Jonathan said, pointing to a currently unused storage room. "These kids need access to technology if they are going to compete in the modern world." Mrs. Patterson stood beside him, nodding eagerly. "That would be wonderful, but is it too much to ask? You have already done so much." "It is never too much when it comes to investing in young people," Jonathan said firmly. "Besides, I can afford it. What is the point of having money if you do not use it to make a real difference?" Tiana watched from across the room. Jonathan had fit into the center's community so naturally. The kids adored him, especially after he had spent an afternoon playing basketball with them, despite his still healing ribs. He never talked down to them or treated them like charity cases. He listened to their ideas, asked their opinions about the renovations, and genuinely seemed to care about their lives. "He is a good man," Mrs. Patterson said, coming to stand beside Tiana. The older woman had a knowing look in her eyes. "And he looks at you the way my late husband used to look at me." "Mrs. Patterson, I am just observing, child. That man has barely taken his eyes off you all week. And you have not stopped watching him either." Tiana felt heat rise in her cheeks. It was true. She and Jonathan had spent every evening together this week, sometimes going to dinner, sometimes just walking through the neighborhood while he asked her questions about her life and dreams. He wanted to know everything: her favorite foods, her childhood memories, what made her laugh, what made her angry. And she had learned about him too. Jonathan Crawford was not just a billionaire tech mogul. He was a man who had built his company from nothing, who had grown up in a cold, unaffectionate household where money replaced love. His parents had divorced when he was young, and both had been too busy with their careers to pay much attention to their son. He had learned early that achievement was the only thing that earned approval. "Is that why you work so hard?" Tiana had asked him last night over Chinese takeout in her tiny apartment. "To prove something to parents who are not even paying attention anymore?" Jonathan had looked surprised by the question, as if no one had ever asked him that before. "Maybe at first. But now I work because I genuinely love what I do. Building something from nothing, creating technology that helps people, solving problems. It gives me purpose. Like teaching gives me purpose," Tiana had said, understanding completely. Now, watching him laugh with a group of teenagers about something on their phones, Tiana felt her heart do a strange flip. She was falling for him. The realization both thrilled and terrified her. They came from completely different worlds. He was a billionaire who traveled on private jets and attended galas with celebrities. She was a softball coach who lived paycheck to paycheck and bought her clothes at thrift stores. But when they were together, none of that seemed to matter. He never made her feel less than. And she saw the real him, the man behind the money and success. A man who was lonely, who craved genuine connection, who wanted to be valued for more than just his bank account. "Tiana, come here," Jonathan called out, waving her over. "The architect has some questions about the softball field." She crossed the room to join him and the architect, a middle-aged white man named Thomas who had been nothing but professional and enthusiastic about the project. "We are thinking about installing new dugouts and a proper backstop," Thomas explained, showing her the plans on his tablet. "But Mr. Crawford wants your input on the layout since you are the one who will be using it most." They spent the next hour going over every detail of the new softball field. Jonathan insisted on getting the best equipment, professional-grade bases, a pitcher's mound built to regulation standards, stadium lighting for evening games, and bleachers for spectators. "This is too much," Tiana protested. "The kids do not need all this fancy equipment." "Yes, they do," Jonathan countered. "They need to know they are worth investing in. That someone believes in their potential enough to give them the same quality facilities that rich kids have. These kids are just as talented and deserving, Tiana. They should not have to make do with second-rate equipment." His passion moved her. This was not about showing off or getting recognition. Jonathan genuinely wanted to level the playing field for these children. "Okay," she said softly. "But only if you promise me something. Anything. Come to our first game on the new field. I want you to see what your generosity has made possible." Jonathan smiled, and Tiana's heart did that flip again. "I would not miss it for anything." Later that evening, after the crews had gone home and the center had closed for the night, Jonathan and Tiana sat on the front steps watching the sunset. The neighborhood bustled with people returning from work, kids playing in the streets, the sounds of dinner being cooked drifting from open windows. "I love this community," Tiana said. "I know it is not fancy or wealthy, but there is real love here. People look out for each other. They help when someone is struggling. They celebrate together when someone succeeds." "It is beautiful," Jonathan agreed. "Very different from where I grew up. My neighborhood was quiet. Too quiet. Everyone stayed in their own houses, minded their own business. I used to wonder if the neighbors even knew each other's names. That sounds lonely." It was. He turned to look at her, his expression serious. "You have given me a gift this week, Tiana. Not just saving my life, but showing me what real community looks like. What it means to be part of something bigger than yourself. You are part of it now," Tiana said. "These kids see you as one of them. Mrs. Patterson has already started calling you her adopted son. You are not an outsider anymore." Jonathan reached for her hand, lacing his fingers through hers. The touch sent warmth spreading through Tiana's body. "I do not want to be an outsider to you either." Her breath caught. "Jonathan. I know we have only known each other a week. I know this probably seems fast. But I cannot stop thinking about you, Tiana. When I am in meetings, I am wondering what you are doing. When I am working at night, I am wishing I was talking to you instead. You have changed something in me." Tiana squeezed his hand. "You have changed something in me too. I keep waiting for the catch, for the moment when you reveal what you really want from me. But it never comes. You are just genuine. And that is rare. There is no catch. I just want to spend time with you. Get to know everything about you. See where this goes between us. She wanted that too. Despite her fears, despite the voice in her head warning her that this could not possibly work, she wanted to see where this connection led. Okay, she whispered. Let us see where it goes. Jonathan leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. But Tiana did not want to pull away. When his lips touched hers, gentle and sweet, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. 3 weeks into the renovations, the community center was nearly unrecognizable. Fresh paint covered every wall in bright, welcoming colors that the kids had helped choose. New windows let in natural light. The roof no longer leaked. The basketball court had been resurfaced, and the softball field looked professional. But the physical changes were not the only transformation happening. The entire neighborhood had noticed the project and the man behind it. At first, people had been suspicious, wondering what this wealthy white man wanted from their community. But Jonathan's genuine interest and respect had won them over. He ate at local restaurants, shopped at neighborhood stores, and treated everyone he met with kindness. Tiana's mother, Patricia Brooks, had finally met Jonathan the week before. She had invited him to Sunday dinner, a test that every potential boyfriend had to pass. Tiana had been nervous, knowing her mother could be protective and skeptical of outsiders. But Jonathan had charmed her mother completely. He had complimented her cooking, asked about her work, and listened attentively to her stories about raising 2 daughters alone. When Patricia had mentioned how proud she was of Tiana for helping the community despite her own injury derailing her dreams, Jonathan had said, she did not let that injury stop her. She just found a new dream. That takes incredible strength. Patricia had smiled at Tiana across the table, and Tiana had known she had her mother's approval. Now, on a Saturday afternoon, Tiana was introducing Jonathan to the other important woman in her life, her younger sister Nicole. They met at a coffee shop near the university Nicole attended, a small campus about 30 minutes from the neighborhood. Nicole was 19, tall and slender like Tiana, but where Tiana had an athlete's build, Nicole was willowy and delicate. She wore glasses that made her look studious, which fit her personality perfectly. Nicole had always been the academic one, while Tiana had been the athlete. So you are the famous billionaire who swept my sister off her feet, Nicole said, her tone teasing but her eyes assessing. Jonathan laughed. I am not sure about the sweeping part. Your sister is pretty grounded. I think she just tolerates me. He is growing on me, Tiana admitted with a smile. They ordered coffee and found a quiet corner table. Nicole caught them up on her classes. She was majoring in engineering, one of only a handful of women in her program. The coursework was challenging, but she loved it. I want to design sustainable buildings, Nicole explained, her face lighting up with passion. Architecture that works with the environment instead of against it. Imagine apartment buildings with vertical gardens, offices that generate their own solar power, schools with natural heating and cooling systems. Jonathan leaned forward, genuinely interested. That is fascinating. Have you looked into any internship programs? Getting real-world experience would be valuable. Nicole's expression fell slightly. I have applied to several programs, but most of them are unpaid. I cannot afford to work for free during the summer. I need to keep my campus job to help pay for textbooks and supplies. Tiana felt a familiar pang of guilt. She sent money to help Nicole whenever she could, but it was never enough. Their mother helped too, but supporting a college student while working 2 jobs was a constant struggle. What if you did not have to worry about the financial side? Jonathan asked carefully. What if you could take any internship you wanted, paid or unpaid, because your expenses were covered? Nicole looked confused. That would be amazing, but that is not reality for me. It could be. Jonathan pulled out his phone and pulled up something on the screen. My company has an educational foundation that provides scholarships to students in STEM fields. We cover tuition, books, and a living stipend. All you have to do is maintain your GPA and agree to mentor younger students in your field. He showed them the website. Tiana read through the details, her heart starting to race. This was exactly what Nicole needed. I am not asking you to pull strings or give my sister special treatment, Tiana said quickly. I am not offering special treatment. Nicole would have to apply like everyone else and be evaluated on her merit. But from what she just told me about her goals and her program, she would be a strong candidate. And the next application deadline is in 2 weeks. Nicole looked at Tiana, hope and uncertainty warring in her expression. Should I? Yes, Tiana said without hesitation. You should absolutely apply. You deserve this opportunity. Over the next hour, Jonathan helped Nicole understand the application process and what the committee looked for in candidates. He offered to connect her with some of the current scholarship recipients so she could ask questions. By the time they left the coffee shop, Nicole was practically bouncing with excitement. Thank you, Nicole said, hugging Jonathan impulsively. Even if I do not get it, thank you for making me feel like it is possible. After Nicole left to head back to campus, Tiana and Jonathan walked through a nearby park. The autumn afternoon was cool but pleasant, and the trees were beginning to turn gold and red. You did not have to do that, Tiana said. Help my sister. I wanted to. She is smart and driven. Students like her are exactly who the foundation was created to help. Still. You keep helping my family, my community. At some point, I am going to run out of ways to thank you. Jonathan stopped walking and turned to face her. Tiana, I do not want your thanks. I do what I do because I can, and because it is right. But also, I am not going to lie, because helping people you care about makes me happy. Seeing your face light up when good things happen for your sister or the kids at the center, that is worth more to me than any thank you. Tiana felt tears prick her eyes. No one had ever cared about her happiness this way. No one had ever put so much effort into making her life better. I am falling in love with you, she whispered. And that terrifies me. Jonathan cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs gently wiping away the tears that had escaped. It terrifies me too. I have never felt this way about anyone. I have dated plenty of women, but it was always surface level. Nice dinners, charity events, relationships that looked good on paper but felt empty. With you, everything is different. Everything is real. What if it does not work? What if our worlds are too different? Then we will figure it out together. But Tiana, I am not going anywhere. I am in this, fully committed to seeing where we can go. She believed him. When Jonathan looked at her like this, with complete sincerity and openness, she could not doubt his feelings. Okay, she said. I am in this too. They sealed the promise with a kiss, standing in the middle of the park while autumn leaves fell around them like confetti. Love is not always about grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes it is about two people from different worlds finding common ground and choosing each other every single day. What do you think makes a relationship work when the odds are stacked against it? Share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to subscribe so you can follow Tiana and Jonathan's journey to the very end. The community center's grand reopening was scheduled for a Saturday morning in mid-October. The entire neighborhood buzzed with excitement. Flyers hung in every shop window. Kids talked about nothing else at school. Mrs. Patterson had planned an entire day of activities, tours of the new facilities, demonstrations from the various programs, a softball game on the new field, and a community barbecue to finish the evening. Jonathan had insisted on staying out of the spotlight. This is about the center and the community, not about me, he had told Mrs. Patterson. But she had refused to let him hide completely. You made this possible, she had said firmly. These people deserve to thank you properly. The morning of the reopening dawned bright and clear. Tiana arrived early to help set up, but found Jonathan already there, helping the maintenance crew arrange chairs and tables for the barbecue. You are supposed to be a guest of honor, not manual labor, she said, walking up to him. He grinned, looking younger than his 35 years in jeans and a t-shirt instead of his usual business attire. I got bored waiting at the hotel. Besides, this is more fun. By 9 o'clock, people started arriving. The turnout exceeded everyone's expectations. Not just families from the neighborhood, but local business owners, politicians, even some media outlets covering the story of the billionaire who had transformed a struggling community center. The tours began at 10. People walked through the building in awe, taking in the new computer lab with 20 state-of-the-art machines, the renovated gym with proper equipment and fresh paint, the arts and crafts room stocked with supplies, the library filled with new books. Parents wiped away tears seeing the safe, beautiful space their children now had access to. At noon, the softball game began. Tiana had organized a friendly match between two of her youth teams. The new field was perfect: level ground, professional bases, solid dugouts, and bright lighting for evening games. The stands filled with spectators, all cheering for the kids. Jonathan sat in the front row, watching intently. When Tiana took a break from coaching to sit beside him, he leaned close and said, "This is what it is all about, is it not? Seeing these kids play on a field that tells them they matter." "You get it," Tiana said, her heart swelling. "Some people do not understand why equipment and facilities matter so much. But these kids see wealthy schools with perfect fields and top-notch gear, and they are told they have to make do with broken equipment and cracked courts. It sends a message about their worth. You changed that message." "We changed it," Jonathan corrected. "I just provided the money. You are the one who pours your heart into these kids every day. You are the one who believes in them." After the game, Mrs. Patterson called everyone together for a brief ceremony. She gave a speech about the center's history, the challenges they had faced, and the miracle of this transformation. Then she called Jonathan up to the makeshift stage. He looked uncomfortable with the attention, but he walked up and took the microphone. "I am not good at speeches," he began, and the crowd laughed warmly. "But I want you all to know that helping this center has been one of the greatest privileges of my life. You welcomed me into your community. You shared your stories, your struggles, and your hopes with me. And in return, I hope I have given something back that will serve your children and families for years to come." He paused, searching the crowd until his eyes found Tiana. "Someone wise once told me that real wealth is not measured in money but in relationships and community. These past few weeks, surrounded by all of you, I have learned that truth. Thank you for teaching me what really matters." The applause was thunderous. People surged forward to shake his hand, hug him, thank him personally. Jonathan took it all graciously, remembering names, asking about people's families, making each person feel seen and valued. Later, as the barbecue got underway, Jonathan was pulled into a game of basketball with some of the teenagers. Tiana watched him play, laughing and joking with kids young enough to be his children, and felt overwhelming love for this man who could have anything in the world but chose to spend his time here, with her community, making a real difference. "He is a keeper," a voice said beside her. Tiana turned to see Richard Hayes, Jonathan's business partner, standing next to her. Richard was a tall, thin white man in his early 40s with sharp features and an even sharper business mind. Jonathan had mentioned him several times but they had never met. "Richard, right? Jonathan talks about you. All good things, I hope." Richard smiled, but his eyes were assessing. "I am here because I wanted to see what has been taking up all of Jonathan's time lately. He has barely been in the office, missed several important meetings, and generally been acting completely unlike himself." Tiana tensed, unsure if this was criticism. "He has been helping with the center renovations." "He has been falling in love," Richard corrected, his tone gentle now. "And I have never seen him happier. In all the years I have known Jonathan, he has been driven, successful, brilliant at business, but never truly happy. You have changed that." "I have not done anything special." "You have done everything special. You see him as a person, not a bank account. You challenge him, ground him, make him laugh. Do you have any idea how rare that is in our world? Women throw themselves at Jonathan constantly, but they want the lifestyle, the status, the money. You just want him." Tiana felt her cheeks warm. "I do. Very much." "Good. Because he wants you just as much. Maybe more." Richard paused, then added, "I am here to ask you something, and I hope you will not be offended." "What is it?" "Jonathan is planning to ask you to attend a charity gala with him next month. It is a big event, lots of media, very public. Are you ready for that? For what it means to be seen as Jonathan Crawford's girlfriend?" Tiana had not thought about that aspect. She had been so focused on their private relationship that she had not considered how public their romance would become once they stepped into his world. Will it be difficult? She asked honestly. Probably. The media can be intrusive and sometimes cruel. People will have opinions about your relationship. Some will see you as a gold digger. Others will criticize Jonathan for dating outside his social circle. It will not be easy. Tiana watched Jonathan sink a three-pointer and celebrate with the teenagers like he had just won a championship. He is worth it. Whatever comes, we will face it together. Richard smiled. That is exactly what I hoped you would say. Jonathan deserves someone who sees him as worth fighting for. That evening, after the crowds had gone and the center had been cleaned up, Jonathan and Tiana sat on the new bleachers overlooking the softball field. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Today was perfect, Tiana said, leaning against his shoulder. It was. Seeing this community come together, seeing those kids so happy, it made everything worth it. Richard came by today. He did. He did not mention he was planning to. He wanted to check on you. Make sure you were okay. Jonathan laughed softly. He probably wanted to meet you and make sure you were not some scam artist trying to steal my money. Something like that. He also warned me about the media attention we will face if we keep seeing each other. Jonathan tensed. I should have talked to you about that. Once we go public, there will be photographers, gossip columns, people digging into your past. I can try to protect you from most of it, but some will get through. I am not worried about that. Let them talk. Let them judge. As long as I have you, I can handle anything. He kissed the top of her head. I do not deserve you. You absolutely do. And I am not going anywhere. They sat in comfortable silence as the stars began to appear overhead, two people from different worlds who had found something real and true in each other. The charity gala was held at the most exclusive hotel in the city, the kind of place Tiana had only seen in magazines. When Jonathan picked her up in his car, she felt her nerves kick in for the first time since they had started dating. She wore a simple but elegant black dress that her mother had helped her pick out. It was not designer, but it fit perfectly and made her feel beautiful. Jonathan's expression when he saw her confirmed it. You look stunning, he said, helping her into the car. Absolutely stunning. You clean up pretty nice yourself, she said, taking in his perfectly tailored tuxedo. The drive to the hotel gave them time to talk strategy. There will be a lot of people there who know me, Jonathan explained. Business associates, investors, socialites. Some of them are genuinely good people. Others are less so. Just stay close to me, and if anyone makes you uncomfortable, let me know immediately. I can handle myself, Tiana assured him. Remember, I grew up in a tough neighborhood. Rich people at a party do not scare me. Jonathan smiled. That is one of the many things I love about you. Your strength. When they arrived, photographers lined the entrance. As they stepped out of the car, flashes went off like lightning. Jonathan kept his arm firmly around Tiana's waist, guiding her through the crowd. She heard the questions shouted at them. Mr. Crawford, who is your date? Are you two together? How long have you been seeing each other? Jonathan ignored them all, leading Tiana into the hotel and up to the ballroom where the gala was being held. The room took her breath away. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting rainbow light across the space. Round tables draped in white linens filled the room, each one set with fine china and crystal glasses. A live band played soft jazz in one corner, and waiters circulated with trays of champagne and hors d'oeuvres. This is incredible, Tiana whispered. Wait until you see the auction items, Jonathan said. Last year, someone paid $200,000 for a week at a private island resort. They found their table and Jonathan introduced her to the other guests, a surgeon and his wife, an artist who had pieces in museums around the world, and a venture capitalist who had funded several successful startups. Everyone was polite and welcoming, though Tiana caught a few curious glances. Dinner was a 5-course meal that tasted like art. Tiana tried not to be intimidated by all the silverware and glasses, but Jonathan subtly guided her through which fork to use when. His quiet support helped her relax and actually enjoy the evening. After dinner, the auction began. Items were presented on a large screen, and people bid by raising numbered paddles. Tiana watched in amazement as thousands of dollars were casually spent on jewelry, artwork, and experiences. Then something unexpected appeared on the screen, a collection of sports equipment and a coaching session with a former Olympic softball player. The starting bid was $5,000. That would be perfect for the community center, Tiana said without thinking. Jonathan immediately raised his paddle. "What are you doing?" Tiana hissed. "Getting something you want," he said simply. Someone else bid $6,000. Jonathan went to $8,000. The bidding continued, climbing higher and higher. Finally, at $20,000, the other bidders dropped out. "Sold to Mr. Crawford," the auctioneer announced. Tiana stared at him. "Jonathan, that was so much money. It is for charity, and the kids at the center will love it. Consider it an investment in their future." Later, during the dancing portion of the evening, Jonathan led Tiana onto the floor. She had never been much of a dancer, but he made it easy, guiding her through a simple waltz. "Everyone is looking at us," Tiana noticed. "Let them look. I am with the most beautiful woman in the room. You are biased. Completely. And I do not care." As they swayed to the music, Tiana caught snippets of conversation from nearby dancers. Most of it was harmless curiosity, but a few comments stung. "Who is she? I heard she is from some poor neighborhood." What could Jonathan Crawford possibly see in someone like that? Tiana tried not to let it bother her, but Jonathan must have sensed her tension. He pulled her closer and whispered, "Do not listen to them. They do not know you. They do not know us. Does it bother you? What people say?" "Not even a little bit. I have spent my entire adult life worrying about what people think, making decisions based on appearances and expectations. For the first time, I am doing exactly what I want. And what I want is you." His honesty melted away her concerns. She relaxed into his arms and let the music carry them. After the gala, Jonathan suggested a walk before heading home. They strolled through the quiet city streets, still dressed in their formal wear, talking about the evening. "Your world is so different from mine," Tiana said. "All that wealth, all those expectations. How do you live like that all the time?" "Honestly, I am not sure I want to anymore. Tonight was fine, but I would rather be at the community center playing basketball with kids or sitting on your couch eating takeout and watching bad television." Tiana laughed. "Bad television is one of my favorite things." "Mine too. See, we are perfect for each other." They ended up at an all-night diner that was about as far from the fancy gala as possible. Still in their formal clothes, they squeezed into a booth and ordered coffee and pie. The other customers stared at them, probably wondering why a couple in evening wear was eating at a diner at midnight. "This is more my style," Tiana admitted, taking a bite of apple pie. "Mine too, honestly. I go to those events because they raise money for good causes, but I would much rather be somewhere like this. Somewhere real. Can I ask you something? Anything. What do you see for us? Long term, I mean." "We have been avoiding that conversation, but after tonight, seeing your world, I need to know if you think this can really work." Jonathan set down his coffee cup and reached across the table for her hand. "I see everything. I see us building a life together. I see supporting each other's work and dreams. I see making a difference in communities that need help. I see growing old together and looking back on a life well lived. You have thought about this. Every day. Tiana, I am serious about you. About us. I know there are challenges ahead. I know our different backgrounds will create complications. But I believe we can handle anything as long as we face it together." "I believe that too," Tiana said softly. "I am all in, Jonathan. Completely. Then that is all we need." They finished their pie and coffee, talking about everything and nothing, two people who had found something rare and precious and were determined to hold on to it. When Jonathan dropped her off at home just before dawn, he walked her to her door like a gentleman. "Thank you for tonight," he said. "For putting up with my world and making it bearable. Thank you for sharing it with me. And for always bringing me back to reality. They kissed goodnight, a sweet, lingering kiss that promised many more to come. As Tiana watched him drive away, she knew with absolute certainty that she had found the man she wanted to spend her life with. November arrived with cooler weather and a sense of change in the air. The relationship between Tiana and Jonathan had settled into a comfortable rhythm. He spent every weekend at the community center, often staying to help coach the kids or work on new programs. She occasionally joined him for business dinners or events, learning to navigate his world with growing confidence. Nicole had been accepted into Jonathan's scholarship program, which meant she could finally take the unpaid internship at a prestigious architecture firm she had been dreaming about. The relief on Patricia's face when she heard the news had made Tiana cry happy tears. Her mother no longer had to work quite so hard to support Nicole, which meant she could finally cut back to one job instead of two. "Your Jonathan is a blessing," Patricia told Tiana one Sunday after church. "I never thought I would see you settled with a good man who treats you right. Your father would have approved." The mention of her father brought both sadness and joy. Tiana wished he could have met Jonathan, could have seen how far she had come despite her injury ending her softball dreams. But she knew he would have been proud. The community center was thriving beyond anyone's expectations. Enrollment had tripled. They had started new programs, a homework help center staffed by volunteer tutors, a summer jobs program for teenagers, and evening classes for adults who wanted to learn new skills. Mrs. Patterson walked around with a permanent smile, constantly amazed by what the center had become. But the biggest change was in Jonathan himself. Tiana had watched him transform over the months they had been together. The driven, somewhat distant businessman had softened, become more open and relaxed. He laughed more easily, talked about his feelings more freely, and seemed genuinely happier. "You are different," Richard mentioned to Jonathan during a business meeting that Tiana had accompanied him to. She had been waiting in the lobby, but overheard through the partially open door. "More balanced. The board has noticed. You are still brilliant and focused, but you are not burning yourself out like you used to." "Tiana keeps me grounded," Jonathan had replied. "She reminds me that there is more to life than the next deal or the next product launch." One evening in mid-November, Jonathan took Tiana to his penthouse apartment for the first time. She had been curious about where he lived but had not wanted to push. He had always seemed content coming to her tiny apartment, never complaining about the modest surroundings or the lack of luxury. His place was everything she expected and nothing she expected at the same time. The penthouse was huge, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. The furniture was modern and expensive but somehow impersonal, like it had been chosen by a designer rather than someone who actually lived there. "This is beautiful," Tiana said, walking to the windows. "But it does not feel like you." Jonathan looked around as if seeing the space with fresh eyes. "You are right. I hired someone to decorate it years ago and never changed anything. I am barely here anyway. It has always felt more like a hotel than a home." "What would make it feel like home?" He came to stand beside her at the window. "You being here. That would make it home." Tiana's heart skipped. "Jonathan, I am not asking you to move in. Not yet. I know we need more time. But I am saying that wherever you are, that is where I want to be." She turned to face him fully. "I love you. I have been wanting to say it for weeks, but I was scared." "Scared of what?" "Scared that it was too soon. Scared that you might not feel the same way. Scared that if I said it out loud, something would go wrong and I would lose you." Jonathan cupped her face in his hands. "You are never going to lose me. And I love you too. I have loved you since the night you saved me in that alley. Maybe even from the moment you threw that first softball and knocked out a guy twice your size." They kissed, and this time it was different. Deeper, more passionate, filled with the certainty of mutual love and commitment. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Jonathan led her to the couch. "I want to tell you something," he said. "About my childhood, about why I am the way I am." Over the next hour, Jonathan opened up completely. He told her about parents who provided everything except affection. About birthday parties where hired entertainers showed up but his parents did not. About learning early that achievement was the only thing that earned him praise. About building his company partly to prove his worth and partly to create something that was truly his. I have spent my whole life trying to fill a hole that money cannot fill, he admitted. Success, wealth, recognition, none of it made me happy. It just made me successful, wealthy, and recognized. But empty inside. And now? Tiana asked softly. Now I have you. And for the first time in my life, I feel full. Complete. Like I am exactly where I am supposed to be. Tiana understood completely because she felt the same way. Her own dreams had been derailed by injury, but that had led her to coaching, which had led her to that alley on the night Jonathan was attacked, which had led her to him. Everything had happened exactly as it needed to. We complete each other, she said. Not in some cheesy romantic comedy way, but for real. You make me want to be better. You challenge me to think bigger. You support my work and believe in what I do. And you keep me human, Jonathan said. You remind me that people matter more than profits. That connection is more valuable than success. That love is the only thing that truly lasts. They spent the rest of the evening talking about their future. The challenges they might face, the dreams they wanted to chase together, the life they wanted to build. By the time Tiana left that night, they had an understanding. They were building something permanent, something that would last. The story broke on a Tuesday morning in early December. Tiana woke up to dozens of missed calls and text messages. When she finally checked her phone, her stomach dropped. Billionaire's girlfriend, gold digger or good Samaritan, read one headline. Jonathan Crawford's mystery woman, what we know about Tiana Brooks read another. But the worst one was, from softball coach to sugar baby, the transformation of Tiana Brooks. Someone had dug into her past, her life, her family. They had pictures of her apartment building, her mother's workplace, even Nicole's campus. The articles questioned her motives, suggesting she had targeted Jonathan deliberately, that the alley attack might have even been staged. Tiana felt sick reading the speculation and outright lies. One article claimed she had a history of dating wealthy men, which was completely false. Another suggested her father had not died of a heart attack but of drug-related causes, which was cruel and untrue. Her phone rang. Jonathan. Have you seen the news? He asked, his voice tight with anger. Just now. Jonathan, none of this is true. I know that. But we need to figure out how to handle this. My PR team is already working on statements, but this is going to get worse before it gets better. He was right. By midday, reporters were camped outside Tiana's apartment building. Mrs. Patterson called to say media crews were at the community center, trying to interview kids about Tiana and Jonathan's relationship. Nicole called in tears, saying photographers had followed her on campus. Jonathan immediately took action. He hired security for Tiana's apartment building, the community center, and Nicole's dorm. He issued a statement through his company condemning the media intrusion and asking for privacy. His lawyers sent cease and desist letters to the worst offenders. But the damage was done. Tiana could not leave her apartment without cameras in her face. Her mother had to take time off work because reporters showed up at her job. The peace and privacy they had enjoyed was completely shattered. I am so sorry, Jonathan said when he came to her apartment that evening. This is my fault. I should have prepared you better. I should have warned you this could happen. You did warn me. I just did not think it would be this bad. They sat on her couch, the curtains drawn to block out the cameras positioned across the street. Tiana had never felt so exposed, so violated. Strangers were dissecting her life, making judgments about her character, all because she had fallen in love with a wealthy man. I do not know if I can do this, she admitted quietly. Live in a fishbowl, have every aspect of my life examined and criticized. Jonathan's face went pale. Are you saying you want to end things? No. Maybe. I do not know. Tears ran down her cheeks. I love you. But this is so hard. My family is suffering because of me. The kids at the center are being harassed. Is our relationship worth all this pain? Jonathan moved closer, taking her hands in his. Yes. It is worth it. You are worth it. But I understand if you disagree. If you need to step back, I will respect that. I will hate it, But I will respect it. Tiana looked at their joined hands. She thought about everything they had been through together. The night in the alley. The renovation of the community center. Meeting each other's families. Falling in love. All those moments had been real and true. I do not want to lose you, she whispered. Then do not. Fight with me. We can get through this together. I have the resources to protect you and your family. I can make this better. But should you have to? Should loving each other require this much protection and defense? If it means being with you, then yes. Absolutely yes. Tiana, I will fight the whole world if I have to. You are not alone in this. His words gave her strength. She was not alone. They were a team, facing this challenge together. Okay, she said. What do we do? Jonathan called his PR team and they developed a strategy. First, a carefully crafted statement from both of them explaining how they met and asking the media to respect their privacy and leave their families alone. Second, a coordinated social media response highlighting the good work happening at the community center to shift the narrative. Third, legal action against the publications that had printed outright lies. Over the next few days, the approach started working. Public opinion began to shift, especially after several kids from the community center posted videos talking about what Tiana meant to them. Mrs. Patterson gave an interview defending Tiana and explaining how Jonathan's contribution had transformed the center. Richard also helped by giving a statement to a major news outlet. I have known Jonathan Crawford for 15 years, he said. I have never seen him happier or more fulfilled than he has been since meeting Tiana Brooks. She is not a gold digger. She is a dedicated, hard-working woman who saved his life and then proceeded to teach him what really matters in life. Anyone who meets her can see that. Slowly, the media circus began to die down. Photographers stopped camping outside Tiana's apartment. The kids at the community center were left alone. Nicole could go to class without being followed. But the experience had changed something between Tiana and Jonathan. It had shown them the reality of being together, the price they would pay for their relationship. And they had chosen each other anyway, which made their bond even stronger. When the world tries to tear you apart, true love finds a way to hold you together. Have you ever had to fight for a relationship that everyone else doubted? How did you handle the criticism? Share your stories in the comments, and make sure you are subscribed so you can see how Tiana and Jonathan's story ends. Christmas approached, and with it came a sense of renewal. The media attention had mostly faded, replaced by new stories and scandals. Life was returning to normal, or at least a new version of normal that included security measures and more careful public appearances. The community center was hosting a holiday party for all the families, and the place buzzed with preparation. Kids made decorations in the arts and crafts room. Mrs. Patterson coordinated food donations from local restaurants. Tiana organized the entertainment, a talent show where kids could showcase their abilities. Jonathan had been working on a surprise of his own. He had quietly arranged for each child enrolled in the center's programs to receive a winter coat, new shoes, and a gift tailored to their interests. For families struggling financially, he had set up an anonymous fund to help with holiday expenses. You are Santa Claus, Tiana teased when he told her about the plans. Santa wishes he had my resources, Jonathan joked back. But seriously, I want these kids to have a great Christmas. Many of them will not get much at home. This might be their only holiday celebration. The party was a huge success. Over 200 people filled the center, eating, laughing, and celebrating together. The talent show revealed hidden abilities, a 12-year-old who could rap, a shy 10-year-old with an incredible singing voice, a teenager who had taught himself to play guitar. During the gift distribution, Jonathan watched from the sidelines as kids opened their presents with pure joy. A girl who loved to draw received a complete art supply set. A boy obsessed with space got a telescope. Each gift showed that someone had paid attention to them, had cared enough to learn what they loved. Patricia found Jonathan standing alone, observing the celebration. You have done a wonderful thing here, she said. I am just trying to make a difference. You have made more than a difference. You have given these children hope. You have shown them that someone believes they are worth investing in. That is priceless. Your daughter taught me that. She sees the value in everyone, never writes anyone off. She made me want to be better. Patricia smiled. She has always had that gift. Even as a little girl, she could not stand seeing anyone left out or hurt. It nearly broke her when her injury ended her softball career, not because of what she lost, but because she felt like she had let everyone down. She did not let anyone down. She just found a different way to make an impact. I am glad she found you, Jonathan. You are good for each other. As the party wound down and families began to leave, Richard arrived. He had been at a business meeting in another city but had flown back specifically to see Jonathan and Tiana. We need to talk, Richard said, his expression serious. They found a quiet corner in the now mostly empty community center. Richard looked between them, then focused on Jonathan. The board wants to offer you the CEO position of the entire company, not just your division. It is a massive promotion. But there is a catch. What kind of catch? Jonathan asked. They want you to relocate to San Francisco for at least 2 years. The headquarters is there, and they feel you need to be on site to properly lead the company through its next phase of growth. Tiana felt her heart sink. San Francisco was 3,000 miles away. How could they maintain a relationship across that distance? Jonathan did not hesitate. I am turning it down. What? Richard looked shocked. Jonathan, this is what you have been working toward your entire career. You cannot just turn it down. Watch me. I am not leaving. My life is here now. Tiana is here. The work we are doing at this center is here. I will find another way to serve the company, but I am not moving to San Francisco. Be reasonable, Richard argued. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So is what I have with Tiana. I am not risking that for a job title. Tiana had been silent during this exchange, trying to process what was happening. Finally, she spoke. Jonathan, you should take it. Both men turned to her in surprise. What? Jonathan said. No. I just said I am not going. But you should. This is your dream job. You have worked your whole life for this opportunity. I cannot be the reason you turn it down. You are not a reason, you are Teachy reason. You are more important than any job. It is only 2 years, Tiana continued, though her heart was breaking. We could do long distance. Visit each other on weekends. Make it work. No. Jonathan's voice was firm. I have seen what distance does to relationships. I have watched friends try to maintain love across time zones and thousands of miles. It does not work. And I am not willing to risk us. But. No buts. Tiana, I love you more than I love my career. More than I love success or recognition or any of it. If I have to choose between being CEO and being with you, I choose you. Every single time. Richard sighed. I had a feeling you would say that. Which is why I came prepared with an alternative. He pulled out his tablet and showed them a proposal. What if you become CEO but we restructure the company to allow remote leadership? We invest in technology that lets you run things from here, with monthly trips to San Francisco for board meetings and quarterly reviews. It would be a new way of doing things, but I think we could make it work. Jonathan read through the proposal carefully. Would the board accept this? I think so. I have already been talking to key members. They want you as CEO, Jonathan. You are the best person for the job. If this is what it takes to get you, I think they will agree. Then yes. I accept, on these terms. Richard grinned. I thought you might. I will present it to the board tomorrow. After Richard left, Tiana turned to Jonathan. You really would have turned it down for me. Without a second thought. You are my priority, Tiana. Not my career. Not money or status. You. I do not deserve you. Yes, you do. You deserve someone who puts you first, who fights for you, who chooses you above everything else. And I plan to spend the rest of my life being that person. They held each other in the dim light of the community center, surrounded by the remnants of the holiday party, and Tiana knew with absolute certainty that they could face anything together. 6 months passed in a blur of happiness and growth. Jonathan had officially become CEO, and the remote leadership structure was working better than anyone had expected. He traveled to San Francisco once a month, but the rest of the time he worked from his office in the city, just minutes from the community center. The center had expanded again, adding a tutoring program that helped struggling students catch up in school. Nicole had excelled in her internship and had already received 2 job offers after graduation. Patricia had officially retired from her second job and was enjoying having more time for herself. Tiana's softball program had grown so successful that several of her players had earned scholarships to colleges. She had created exactly what she had always wanted, a way to help kids from her community reach their dreams through sports. On a warm evening in June, Jonathan asked Tiana to meet him at the community center softball field after the last practice had ended. She found him standing at home plate, looking nervous in a way she had never seen before. "What is going on?" she asked, walking toward him. "I have been thinking about that night in the alley," Jonathan said. "The night you saved my life. That was a long time ago." "Not that long. Less than a year. But in that time, you have changed everything about my life. You have shown me what really matters. You have given me purpose beyond making money. You have made me happier than I ever thought possible." Tiana's heart started to race as Jonathan dropped to one knee. "This is where it all started," he continued. "This softball field, this community, you saved more than my life that night, Tiana. You saved my soul. You made me whole. And I want to spend the rest of my life showing you how grateful I am for that." He pulled out a small box and opened it to reveal a beautiful diamond ring. Simple but elegant, exactly her style. "Tiana Brooks, will you marry me?" Tears streamed down her face as she nodded. "Yes. Absolutely yes." Jonathan slipped the ring onto her finger and stood, pulling her into a kiss. Applause erupted from behind them, and Tiana turned to see a crowd had gathered. Mrs. Patterson, Patricia, Nicole, Richard, and dozens of kids from the center all stood watching, cheering and celebrating. "Did you know about this?" Tiana asked her mother. Patricia grinned. "He asked my permission last week. And my blessing. Of course I said yes. You two are perfect for each other." The crowd surrounded them, offering congratulations and hugs. The kids from the softball team insisted on forming a line for Tiana and Jonathan to walk through, like a tunnel of love made from raised baseball bats. Later that evening, after the celebration had ended and everyone had gone home, Tiana and Jonathan sat on the bleachers holding hands, watching the stars come out. "Can you believe how far we have come?" Tiana asked. "From that night in the alley to this. It feels like a dream sometimes. Like I will wake up and none of this will be real. It is real. We are real. We are definitely real." Jonathan kissed her hand where the ring now sparkled. "What kind of wedding do you want?" "I do not need anything fancy. Just our families, our friends, and a celebration of what we have built together. We could have it here. At the community center. Seems fitting." Tiana loved that idea. "Perfect. This place brought us together. It should be where we commit to forever." They talked about their future, making plans, and dreaming about what came next. Jonathan wanted to expand their charitable work, creating more community centers in struggling neighborhoods. Tiana wanted to develop a training program for other coaches, spreading the model they had created here. "We make a good team," Jonathan said. "The best team." As they sat there in the peaceful evening, Tiana reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. She had saved Jonathan's life in that alley, but he had saved her too. He had shown her that her dreams did not have to die just because they changed form. He had taught her that love could come from the most unexpected places. Most importantly, he had proven that two people from different worlds could build something beautiful together if they were willing to work for it. Their story had started with violence and fear, but it was ending with love and hope. And really, what more could anyone ask for? "I love you," Tiana whispered. "I love you too. Forever." And under the stars, on the softball field where so many dreams had been born, they sealed that promise with a kiss that tasted like coming home. True love is not about finding someone who fits perfectly into your world. It is about finding someone who makes you want to build a new world together. What is your definition of a happy ending? Is it the grand gesture, or is it the quiet moments of choosing each other every day? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And thank you for following Tiana and Jonathan's journey. If their story touched your heart, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs to believe in love today. The end.